And my first gin and tonic. Thank you. So when I was preparing today, I didn't know what time I was starting, so I first wrote down good morning, then I scratched it out and said good afternoon, and now I can say good evening. So good evening to all of you, and thank you to the Tea Board of India, the United Planters Association of Southeast India, and the organizers of the India International Tea Convention. It's a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about the consumer trends shaping North America, and most importantly, what they mean for the tea industry. We're going to look at what's moving in food, beverage, and wellness, what's changing in consumer habits, and how tea can position itself to capture these opportunities. If we want to keep tea relevant, we can't just look inward. We need to get out of this room. We need to get out of the echo chamber that we live in, and we need to stop talking about ourselves to ourselves. We have to keep our eyes on the wider food and beverage world. Consumer habits are shifting fast, and if we don't track those changes, we risk falling behind. So I've taken a little bit of a different approach than my fellow panelists. I'm going to first look outwards, and then I'm going to tell you what that means for tea. And I'm going to start with the big picture. Functional hydration, non-alcoholic drinks, and protein-forward products are what's driving growth in every food and beverage category. Wellness spending isn't about vague promises anymore. People want measurable results: weight management, healthy aging, and mental health. Retail is dividing into two clear camps. On the one hand, there's the premium experience for some, and on the other, there's value. And shopping itself is being reshaped by mobile, social, and AI. This is changing how people discover products and how people are connecting with brands. Now, these trends don't happen in a vacuum. In Canada, the top concerns among consumers are cost of living, access to health care, and sustainability. In the United States, it's economic uncertainty, health, shocking, and personal security. Now, the order may shift in both of these markets, but what we both hold in common is one thing, and that's the rising cost of food. And that reality is shaping every single purchase decision that's being made. For us in tea, this means needing to be ready with solutions that address both wellness and value while keeping our sustainability credentials front and center. So let's start by looking at the food and beverage trends. This is where we see some of the biggest shifts that are taking shape. Hydration boosters, water enhancers, functional ready-to-drinks, and non-alcoholic options are what's pulling ahead. And one of the biggest disruptors is GLP-1 drugs. These are the weight loss and diabetes drugs: Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. They are reshaping how people are eating and how they are drinking. Portions are smaller, protein and fiber are in demand, sugar is being cut, and hydration has never, ever mattered more. Products are responding by leaning into fullness, into strength and micronutrient fortification, all while dialing back sugar and fat. And GLP-1 is expected to keep climbing. This category will not fall. And if you're not paying attention to this category, I can absolutely guarantee you that we're going to fall behind in tea. Products that are addressing this fad need to make a structural change that's going to keep changing and shaping the industry. So where does tea fit into all of this? Well, truly, everywhere. Tea's already the ideal base for hydration. How can we possibly let water overtake us? We are the original vitamin water. Tea carries electrolytes, botanicals are just a touch of sweetness, and still stay true to itself. It slips naturally into non-alcoholic space, sparkling teas, which we've heard all of this already today, mocktails, or a creative tea bar program in restaurants. I know we've got examples of this outside in the hallway. And then there's the GLP-1 shift. How do we fit into drugs? Well, I'm going to tell you. People that are on these medications are looking for low sugar, high polyphenol options. Tea, tea, tea. Pair it with protein snacks, and suddenly tea isn't just a drink anymore, it's part of someone's wellness routine. And at the same time, we can lean into what tea does best, the premium story, the garden, the season, the varietal. Telling that story is so important, and this is where International Tea Day comes in. It's more than a celebration, it's our chance to speak with one single voice about the value and the origins of tea. Back in 2024, within the United Nations FAO Intergovernmental Group on Tea, we created the advocacy pillar, which I, representing Canada, and my colleagues, Sri Lanka, co-chair. Our mandate is to create a global tea campaign, which Ramaz mentioned earlier we desperately need. Our clear purpose is to unify our efforts and amplify our message worldwide. Our role has been to move away from fragmented stories, and what we do instead is we create one clear narrative, messaging that has an impact, a message that's emotive, authentic, and adaptable. And it's not just a theory that we've talked about. We've built free tools that are accessible to every single one of you. You can participate through images, hashtags, and campaign content that we've put up on a website freely accessible to everybody on this planet. We've encouraged producers, brands, tea boards, associations to use these resources in the lead up to International Tea Day and beyond. So, how does this connect to current trends? Well, telling our story and reconnecting people with the source of tea has been our focus for the 2025 campaign, as well as the ones to follow. It's about shifting perception from a boxed product to a valued story. Hashtag Farmed with Care celebrates origins, farmers, and the craftsmanship behind every single cup. Please, please come talk to me for more information on these campaigns. So let's turn now to wellness. It's a space that's growing into a massive global economy. Wellness is moving fast. Right now, the hottest areas are functional nutrition, again, weight management, healthy aging, aesthetics, and mental health. But here's the real shift. People aren't satisfied with broad claims anymore. They want proof. They want transparency. They want to see the actual results, not simply claims that you're putting on a box. And the products that can clearly show those proof points and actually back them up with real evidence, those are the ones that are winning in the market. And it matters because this is not a niche space. The global wellness economy is already worth trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars, and it's continuing to grow. That means the stakes and the opportunities are only getting bigger. How does tea fit in? It means we need to take the science, and believe me, we have the science, piles and piles of science, and we need to translate that science into something that makes sense to consumers. Simple, tangible promises that our consumers can actually understand. Focus, calm, sleep, gut health, all of these backed up with real credible evidence. The advocacy pillar that I mentioned earlier started its work in 2024, and our first global campaign was hashtag Tea Power, which you see up on the screen. We took science and we converted it into a unified message that speaks directly to younger consumers, another message we keep hearing about today. We showed them that tea belongs in their daily wellness routine. Because you know what young consumers don't care about? Cardiovascular health. Because they don't need to, not yet. But they do care about other aspects of health. And that's the point. Tea isn't just a product, it's a partner in wellness. A focused tea in the morning, alongside a protein snack, a calming blend in the evening to wind yourself down. Even tea's designed for recovery and strength. And it doesn't have to stop at the cup. We can put tea into experiences that people are desperately grasping for. Tasting sessions that are paired with breathwork and meditation classes, or well-being programs that are incorporated into your offices. Rituals that support people's goals over time. I'm going to shift from wellness to how people are actually shopping. Consumer spending patterns are showing what's called a barbell effect. On the one hand, we have got affluent customers who are leaning into premium experiences. And on the other hand, the complete opposite, we've got value-seeking behavior that's stronger than ever because the cost of food is up. And the way people shop is changing just as quickly. So take a look here at this graph. You can see that in just a few years, mobile purchases has gone from under 45% on Amazon Prime Day to more than half. That's a fundamental shift in how people are actually making their purchases. Social platforms are becoming powerful discovery engines, not just purchase engines, but how people are discovering your products. Retailers are pouring resources into unified commerce that are redefining how products are found, how they're recommended, and how they're purchased. The biggest story on Prime Day isn't just that affiliates and partners, these are the bloggers, the deal sites, and the loyalty platforms, that they're actually driving 20% of sales. What the real story here is that who's fueling that growth? Influencers. Influencers are converting shoppers at 10 times the rate of social media overall. That changes absolutely everything. Who's using influencers in our industry? Few and far between. It shows that consumers aren't just swayed by the platform. They're not just swayed by you going onto Instagram or TikTok. They are swayed by trust in the person who's actually delivering the message to them. And sometimes that isn't you and your brand. For tea, mobile first is no longer an option. If you're not in this space, you've already fallen behind. It's absolutely essential. Reaching consumers means being present where they shop. I'm talking about one-click reorders, SMS product drops that you put straight onto people's phones, shoppable videos, live commerce, TikTok shops. And just as we've seen, trust is the real currency. That's why influencers matter. And the right voices can amplify tea stories in ways that feels authentic and credible. Beyond that, sparking excitement, limited run tasting kits, and creative collaborations. And finally, AI. It's here, it's practical. It actually doesn't matter what you think about it and whether you're scared of it or not. You need to embrace it. We can use AI. We can use it as chat agents to offer around-the-clock pairing suggestions, brewing help, and even gift guidance. On the content side, it's about consistency, live brew-alongs, origin stories. I'm not suggesting that we replace the human connection. I'm talking about enhancing it and enriching it. The beverage world is shifting. Health, technology, consumer priorities are all rewriting the rules. People don't just want something to drink anymore, they want something that supports everything that they value. Wellness, the lifestyle that's going to deliver them a premium experience. For tea, this is not a challenge. This is not something we should be afraid of, and this is optimism, because for us, it's actually an opening. Tea already stands for all of the things that I'm talking about: hydration, wellness, ritual, telling our stories. The opportunity's here, it's now. And tea can be more than part of the conversation, it can actually lead it. The future is truly ours to claim if we choose to step into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Shabnam. That was really taking us into the modern age. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
The question I had, I think you mentioned something in the context of wellness, saying, consumers want proof, not promises.
Yeah.
And, translating the science that we have on tea research into more intelligible, simple consumer speak. But I think that's always an area which the tea industry has been a bit wary about, because regulators are typically quite strict in many markets. So how do you, where do you draw the line? How edgy can you be on your communication around health? What's the right sort of recommendation for us to communicate health in a bit more aggressive way than we've done in the past?
So I think that, as I said, the health and wellness message and the research that's out there, it's in abundance. We could fill this hotel with the volumes of research that we have on the actual health benefits of tea. We need to learn how to translate that, and we also need to learn to speak the language that consumers want. There are claims that you can make. You can't say that tea cures cancer, but you can say that tea is good for digestion. You can absolutely make a claim like that. You can say that tea is hydrating. You can connect it to the fact that people are out there and they're exercising, and you're encouraging people to integrate that into their daily life. I think it was Nadeem that was talking about poppy earlier. We're allowing other beverages to take space, to steal. I'm going to use the word steal the space that tea should actually be in. Poppy should be a tea brand. It shouldn't be somebody else's brand. And we shouldn't be afraid to step into these areas. Absolutely, within the parameters of the law. But this industry, I feel, is far too timid to step into the spaces that belong to us. We need to take ownership of them.
One more question from me, and then hopefully opening it up to the audience. I think you mentioned the barbell effect, premiumization going up and value for money going down. A lot of tea brands in many of the big mainstream markets are stuck in the middle. They try to go up, they try to go down, but they have a big business in the middle of that. What would you recommend for those brands which are in the mainstream space and are not quite perceived of as being premium, nor quite able to make the move to a very discount segment?
Well, if you know me, you know that I'm going to say nobody should ever be in the discount space. I think that nobody pays enough for tea, and I don't think anybody in this room can possibly argue with that. So I think we need to get out of that discount concept, first and foremost. I think that if you're trying to be all things to everybody, you're going to be nothing to most people. So I think that we need to address both of these segments of what's happening to consumers. We have consumers, and that's been an effect of COVID to a great deal, where we've got an income disparity that is huge. We've got people that are looking for premiumization, and we can address that by telling our stories. We can, and we are getting, for some of those handmade specialty teas. We tried a lot of them today out in the hallway. The white teas, the green teas, the oolongs, telling their stories. Look at what the wine industry has done. Talking about the terroir, changing our language, romanticizing where our tea comes from. You cannot sell the same product to the consumer and expect consumers to pay more for it. You need to create that perception of value to them. You've got that on the one hand, and then you can absolutely at the same time address that value to consumers that are looking for their everyday purchases. I think we are really targeted nicely within tea to do both.